Hey guys, welcome back for another exciting episode of YOML. This is the Year of Magical Learning podcast. And today we're trying to do the final installment of one of our favorite books, The Antifragile by Nassim Taleb. So take it away, Chris.
Today was the official last reflection, the day that I wrote the last reflection for the written version of YOML. Well, obviously, we're on 241.
It's not the
right
last
now.
reflection. It's just
The marathon of YOML is over.
The last written
was completed on this very morning, April 27th of 2023. It's a good day. Very good day today. I just wanted to, for video documentary proof, we have officially completed this journey, and I can't wait to talk about the rest of them with you and all the other stuff to come in the future. But, for now, we'll get to Antifragile, part 5 of 5. And actually, I needed this reflection so much today, and I'll tell you why in a minute here. We'll talk about it when we have our discussion. But the title of this one is First, Do No Harm. So this is the conclusion of Antifragile. We've talked about it many times. If you don't know what it's about, read the description or go check out the past few of them. It's about fragility versus anti-fragility. What does that mean? We've been discussing it at length. It's a really fun topic and something that we learned a lot from. I'm excited to share this reflection with you. If there is one thing that I will always remember from Antifragile, it is this concept of first, do no harm. Because to be fair, 99.9% of the time when we do something, not doing something is probably the more effective solution than doing something. Not doing something is better than doing something. I think as humans, we don't understand this. We're drawn to action, right? And we talk about this all the time. Just get to work, compound effect, do the stuff that you want to go do the things you love to do and go that route, right? When we see somebody hurting, we want to help. When we see somebody that's sick, we want to solve their problem. When we see somebody that is poor and doesn't have any money and they're sleeping under a car pass, we want to help. That is a part of humanity that is a good thing and a bad thing, right? It is the best thing ever because we care about each other. I mean, we truly care about each other. This goes back to humankind. I think, at least, kind individuals, and that's one of our superpowers, is we actually care about each other, and want to see other people survive and thrive. We don't want to see other people in pain. We don't want to see other people suffering. We want to do everything we can to stop that. But almost all the time that we intervene, we fuck it up. I mean, even when we solve the problem right now on the front end, we have no idea what chain of events that we just set into motion down the road and how that will negatively either spiral down or maybe positively spiral up. We have no idea. The point is, we have zero idea of the actions that we take every single day when we are trying to do good. And I think that people are naturally trying to do good. You go to the doctor, Luca is sick right now. He has pink eye. And then last week, he was also sick. He had a really bad cold. I don't know if he got the pink eye from the bad cold or whatever. Anyway, my wife last week took him to the doctor, and I was like, he doesn't need to go to the doctor. I was like, he's not in an acute situation. Yeah, he's sick. It doesn't sound good. But anyway, she came back with a prescription for steroids and a prescription for antibiotics, right? That's what happened. I was like, Felicia, you do not need to take him to the doctor. Like, I promise you, all you're going to do is tell you what you want to hear, which is, your son's sick and he's not feeling very well right now. Here's some medicine to go home. Here you go. This will make you feel better, right? But really, I think it was to make my wife feel better, to be honest with you. We're not giving them at least the antibiotics. You can give them the steroids, but I don't love that, but we're not giving them the antibiotics. I didn't have a choice with the steroids because I think they gave it to him when he was there. And once you started the course of the treatment, like, you got to do it anyway. But this is what doctors do. They see a child in pain, they see a mother that's looking for answers, and they're like, here, take some drugs, right? Fast forward less than a week later, he gets pink eye, and it's really gross. He's got snot coming out of everything right now. His eyes are all pussy and goopy, and snot's coming everywhere, and he's got a tiny little fever going on. My wife takes him back to the doctor. I was like, I don't know why you need to take him to the doctor. We know what's going on. It's pretty crystal clear. She was like, no, I'm going to take him back to the doctor. I'm like, okay, fine. So she comes back with another prescription for antibiotics. This time he has a double ear infection, apparently. Here's another course of antibiotics that they just prescribed him. And I was like, no, we're not giving him that either. I'm not giving him these things because of this exact concept of first do no harm. I have no idea what happens when you give this. In a couple weeks, he's going to be probably fine, most likely. His body will do what his body is designed to do, and give him time to rest and recover and sleep and whatever. And if it doesn't, then acute medicine is pretty remarkable. I've seen it firsthand a million times, with my daughter and what we went through. I know what bad looks like, and I know what not bad looks like. And I know what medicine can really do when it needs to be done in a very acute emergency setting versus what this is, which is my son doesn't feel good, and that doesn't change the fact that I want to help him. I'm not trying to be callous at all. Like, I want to help my son. Like, he's my son. Like, I want my wife to feel at ease. She's my wife. Like, I want everybody to feel happy and healthy, and like, let's go back to do what we do. But the truth of the matter is just giving another drug or giving this or that. We have zero idea. Maybe 20 years down the road, this is what leads to him having asthma and IBS and Crohn's disease, and his gut, is all fucked up from all the bad antibiotics he took. And now when he has like an actual problem, the antibiotics he actually has to take doesn't work. Anyway, my point is, we don't know. So the better course of action, most likely 99% of the time, is probably just let him heal on his own and see what happens, right? Like, do no harm. Like, that's the doctor's oath, right? That's the oath that we all should take in life. That's the problem, right? Is we want to help, but we shouldn't most of the time. So here's where the dilemma is what do you do? And this is what the second half of the reflection is about. So you're looking at me and you're like, Chris, okay, great. So you're telling me don't ever do anything. Not true at all. Actually, I'm saying the exact opposite of that. I'm saying do the thing that you know will never do any harm. If you know that you do this, it will never cause any harm.
Go with the forces of nature.
That. Keep going.
Let nature do its wonders. Whatever nature it designed you to do, just let it take its course.
Say the words. If you want to act all day long, we are drawn to action like we talked about, right? So if you're going to act, follow your values and be on purpose, do your mission, do your purpose, because I can guarantee you will never look behind you in your wake, of all the ramifications of all the stuff that you do later on in your life and go, I am not happy with what I did. You'll go, I don't care what happened. I'm very happy with every action that I took, and whatever came from that, right? And like, that's my first do no harm principle of, if you're going to do anything, act, but act for yourself and act for the things that you care about most. Live your values, be on purpose. And the wake that comes from that, you will never care. You will never have to think twice about it. You'll never have a negative ramification that comes from that. I can guarantee you that you will never, in your course of your life, ever go and say, man, I really wish I hadn't, if one of your core values is health, I really wish I hadn't have cared about what I ate all the time. Like, there's just zero chance in hell that you're ever going to,
you regret is about, okay, I regret eating that thing. I didn't regret not eating something, like,
Exactly.
So you say, hey, I regret to eat that leftovers that now causing my stomach to go berserk on me. You regret though. You say you don't regret. Say, hey, I regret not eating that leftovers or not eating that juicy steak or whatever whether positive or negative. You don't regret something like that. You regret doing the things that you think could help you. Hey, I'm gonna drink, whatever alcohol, whatever it is that you want to drink, and then you will regret doing it, because for the most part, there is only certain specific thing that you do that is good for you. One good benefit, which is whatever the purpose is, but it has like 10, 100 side effects. That's the numbers. Right. So unless you really know that, hey, I'm really sure this one is going to solve the problem, you don't know. The odds are going to be against you. What you've done isn't the right benefit for you. It's going to be the side effect that harms you.
Taking the statin today, you have no idea what that will do.
Talking about the butterfly effect, right? A tiny minute thing could cause a huge, significant, like monstrous impact in down the line. So that's the thing, is people don't see the ripple effect of a single small little tiny minute action that someone took. It creates a tremendous forceful impact someone else.
And that's the compound effect. Every action, call it karma, call it, whatever, call it the compound effect, call it whatever the fuck you want to label it, in my opinion, personally. It doesn't matter. Every action that you take, like you just said, will result in other downstream negative or other downstream actions, that you have no control over. Every word that you and I say on this podcast today could have a ramification that we have no idea, like, what could come of this.
Think about it. If let's say you and I make a bet today, right? And let's bet it for like 100 years from now. It's like, if we lose today, we don't pay today. We'll pay 100 years from now. But compounded interest, using compound interest, how much will we pay? How much would my descendant pay if I lost $10 today? 10 minute dollar. How much that if you add, like, just look at the inflation. Don't have to pick an interest. Just pick up the rate of inflation, right? How much would they have to pay 100 years from now? That's going to be a huge amount. So that's the thing, is anything we do has that kind of compound effect. Right. So to me, it's like debt. You owe something, right? Even though it's small, if you let it fester, it continues to accumulate, and it grows exponentially into the point where 100 years from now, it's going to be so much bigger than we can imagine. If you compound yearly, monthly, daily, the more you compound, the faster it will get, the bigger
Right.
it get. So in life, right, the compound effect is multitudes at once, and it compounds within seconds or milliseconds. So it's not like, oh, I have to wait
Every
for
action.
another day to evaluate its compound. So the thing is, the number of compounding events that you have, the more you have, the faster it will grow and the bigger it will grow. And it's going to be astronomical in terms of what you have initially and what it's like a mustard seed and a mustard tree. It's
Right.
that kind of a magnitude difference.
I mean, it's massive. I mean, one of the rare books that I read for fun before Amelia, just for pure fun. I don't even know why I read this book, to be honest with you. I think I just happened to be wandering around Borders one day with my wife who likes to read or something like that. And I was like, oh, that looks interesting. I picked up the book and bought it, ended up finishing it. It's called The Housing Boom and Bust by Thomas Sowell. You know who that is? Thomas Sowell? He's like a famous economist.
I don't know a lot of famous people. I only know Britney Spears.
So he's still alive today. Anyway, he wrote this book called The Housing Boom and Bust. And once again, one of the rarer books that I read on my own. Like, it wasn't a podcast or for some book for work or whatever, it was just for fun. And I always remembered from this book, and I still remember to this day, he talked about, I think it was like in the 70s. I'll probably butcher this whole thing, but long story short, there was some legislation that was done in the 70s. It was like the fair, housing or whatever, some act or whatever that, or no, it was in the 90s where President Clinton signed into law because lawmakers trying to do good for people, saw people in pain, saw people that couldn't necessarily get the house of their dreams. Maybe they were from a lower income neighborhood or family or socioeconomic class, and they couldn't get the house of their dreams because like they just couldn't afford it or whatever, or banks wouldn't lend them money for their mortgage and yada yada yada. So there was a law that was enacted to help them to get a home. That sounds great. Everybody should have the opportunity to have a home. I mean, who doesn't? Like, would you honestly think that anybody would stare you in the face and say, you know what, you don't deserve a house, fuck you? You know what I mean? Like, no, nobody would ever say that to anybody,
Or
right?
somebody.
Well, somebody may, but going again to humankind, I think you and I both would agree after this whole journey, like, it's probably way more likely.
To me, it's a ripple effect. I want to clarify what I said by that. It's ripple effect. People, if on a blank slate, they would never do it.
Right.
Most people, this is what I'm saying is when you eat the frog, you will say, well, you need to eat a frog too. So if they eat the frog and I come in and say, hey, y'all, I need a loan for my house, this is my dream house, and they just eat the frog, then they will say no. That's the thing. But if they didn't eat the frog, that's what I'm saying is I've worked at a lot of different places, and I've noticed that the environment and what kind of work they do, right?
People. Yeah.
People, it doesn't matter who it is. It's like in a happy
turn you
place,
into a monster.
everybody's kind.
Right. Yeah.
Everybody's kind when they're happy. They're kind, right? And when they have to eat the frog and endure's sake, are nasty. It's like, shit, what the hell? What happened? Like, it's like, what happened? Like, who spit in your binker kind of saying.
Right. Yeah. I totally agree with you. I think environment certainly can shape that. But I think at our core, we all would rather be the other state, right?
The thing is, if you think about it, before the first person who becomes angry, right? No one's angry until somebody, for whatever reason, by random chance, got the atomic bomb and they decide to take out on the world, say, hey, the world's bad, and they the one who fester the negativity, and that negativity it pays forward. You pay forward whether it's positive or negative, because
you said,
hey, True, can you help me with this?
Right.
Why did I say that? Not because you did anything wrong, just because I stubbed my toe on some piece of rock.
I got shit going on. I think circumstances.
And then you go say, hey, True, can you help me? And so somebody calls you and say, hey, Chris, can you have 5 minutes of your time? You're this great marketing guy. So it goes on and on and on and on, and it compounds like a snowball that goes down the mountain. It gets bigger and bigger and faster and faster. And so that's the thing is, it's on a level playing field, on a level line. No one is going to say no to you. Most people are kind until somebody put a chip on the shoulder, and then this is when they start to go out and say, I'm going to get back at them. So this is where the pie is.
I'm with you. I mean, that's a good caveat. So Thomas was talking about where the real housing boom and bust happened. It was about the 2008, economic collapse. With the best intentions of mind, people put legislation into effect where it said banks need to lend to these particular people, regardless of whether or not their particular lending practices, of like, hey, do you have this much income to put as a down payment or whatever? They're like, you have to lend to these people, for XYZ reasons to make sure that they have an opportunity to have a home, right? So banks said, fine, fuck it. So they did what the law said. They started lending out money. And then lo and behold, 20, 30 years later down the road, they found ways to make more money off of their stupid loans, because they're like, oh, well, let's go trade all these subprime mortgage loans that we were, they found a way to get around it. They've made these subprime mortgages where they said, fine, you guys want loans? Like, we'll give you loans, but we don't trust you. So the interest rates are going to jump and, but they're always going to be backed by the federal government. So then we'll start to trade them. And then now we have all this subprime mortgage trading going on, and people found ways to make money because that's what they do. But my point of what I'm getting at is, through the best of intentions, I think we can all sit here and say that they did not mean this to happen. But like, through the best of intentions, legislators put things into place that down the road turned into something that had nothing to do with their original intention. Right. I would go for something really big, right? And I would say, my platform is, I will literally do nothing. I promise you. It'll be the hardest thing that any president has ever done, but I will come into here and I will do nothing beyond making sure that our borders are protected and beyond making sure that there is safety and security in this country. Anything outside of that, I will do nothing. I will not sign any laws. I will not do any legislation. I will painstakingly get blasted by every single person that comes at me all day long saying, please help me. Please help me. We just had mudslides in California. Like, do something. This person's doing this. I can't ever in a million years sit here and tell you that when I signed something with the best of intentions to save those goddamn foxes in Denver, because I care about the fucking foxes, Drew. I care about them. Like, damn it, they're fucking foxes, and I like foxes. What if something was hurting my raccoons? I would be like, oh, don't touch my raccoons. It's fine. I will make sure that I sign legislative action to make sure that I funnel a ton of money and funding and sanctuary housing for raccoons. I think you're getting my point of where I'm going. But like, that would be my platform is, I will promise you, I will do nothing. And it will be the hardest thing that any president has ever done.
Right, because you see the devil doing push-up outside.
Right.
And especially you're a person in the spotlight, so it's very difficult for you to say, hi, yeah, I'm doing this. And so, I believe you, it's probably going to be very hard. From what we know, from what you and I know thus far, it is very difficult to do nothing. We as society see, hey, do nothing. It's like, oh, it's effortless, right? But it's not. It's
not.
So
it's really
much.
hard. It's really hard. My wife could sit downstairs right now and just go, well, he's sick, and in a week from now, he probably won't be sick, but like, I want to help him. Like, if you have 4 kids, like, would you do anything for your children, no matter what they, like, without even thinking? Of course, right?
Yeah, of course. That's something that you do as a parent, and it's a natural thing. It's just the way nature works. But like I said, you have to understand, only until you understand that is to help them, is to do very minimal stuff to them. You have to understand that nature is optimally good at what it does. You cannot beat Mother Nature in anything. You go to medical school for 4 years, right? And you watch maybe a 1-hour lecture of something. You can't tell me, how things work. Right? You say, well, I'm a doctor. I don't compare you to a doctor. You're a doctor compared to a million years of Mother Nature. It's like, right. You're nothing. It's like, you don't register on a scale. So if you understand that basis, then doing nothing is probably the best thing for you, for your kids, for anyone else, right? Yes, there are cases where you need that intervention, but that's when right? Like you said, there's certain situations where you need the intervention and use it. I'm not saying don't ever do that, but you have to understand what are you betting on? You're betting on a possibility or the probability. Live in a world of probable, not possible. Because possible is like, is it possible I win the lottery? Yeah, it's possible, but I'm not going to bet my life on it, because in multiple lifetimes, I might not even win. So even in 1,000 lifetimes, I might not win.
I totally agree. And like, it goes back to the whole concept of anti-fragile, right? Doing nothing is anti-fragile. Doing something is fragile. It's
going to break.
It's going to break. No matter what you do, it will not work long term. There's no solution that anybody that's ever crafted anything in this entire world that is not a Mother Nature solution will always work in perpetuity, forever and ever and ever and ever. It's not possible, right? So here's another fun story. The best doctoring that I've ever gotten in my entire life was when I started to have panic attacks. And when I was 27 years old, I think, is when I first had my first panic attack, or 28 or something like that. And I went to my doctor, and it was the same primary care doctor that I'd had since I was like 3 years old. He'd been the guy that my mom took me to when I was my pediatrician. And he was the same guy that I was still going to when I was like 28 years old. He retired, I think, when I was like 30. So he'd known me my entire life. I hadn't lived in Indianapolis my entire life, but now that I was back in town, that was where I went when I didn't feel good. I had my first panic attack and I didn't know what the hell was going on. I thought I was dying or something like that. I called up Dr. Lawless and I was like, Dr. Lawless, I need to make an appointment. I don't know what's going on. I feel like I'm dying. I need to get in there like ASAP. He's like, okay, we'll make room. We'll see you tomorrow. And I was like, okay, great. So I drive down there. I have a panic attack on the way. I had to pull over on the side of the interstate because I thought I was gonna fucking kill myself in a car because everything would fuzzy. I was like freaking out. I was like, oh my God, I just got to get to the doctor. Just got to get to the doctor. Just got to get to the doctor. So I pulled into the doctor's office, and after I had my now second panic attack, and I had calmed down enough, and I'm sitting in his office, and I'm sweaty. I'm worried about my life and everything. And he runs a couple tests, and he asks me a few questions, and then says the weirdest thing I've ever, the wildest thing that I never thought I would ever hear. You have any idea what he asked me?
Ask you a question?
He asked me a question. And
Okay.
What is the question that he asked me?
I don't know.
He goes, Chris, I'm just curious. What's your relationship with God like these days? And I go, huh? I was like, what'd you just say to me, Dr. Lawrence? Like, it's like, what the fuck does God have to do with this? I'm like fucking dying over here. You know, what is wrong with me? And he goes, how do you feel? Just, just in general, like what's going on in your life? You know? And I go, and I'm like, well, I mean, yeah, work's stressful, everything's stressful, but Dr. Lawless, like, I am fucking dying over here. Like, what is happening to me? And he was like, I think after everything that I've heard you say, I'm pretty sure that you might have be having panic attacks at this point in time, anxiety attacks. And he goes, I think you're totally healthy, but I'll prescribe you this Xanax. I'm just going to give it to you just because it's my doctor duty. I swear to God, this is what he said. He goes, I think you should go home. I think you should think about, your relationship with God and maybe talk to yourself a little bit. What the fuck did this guy just say? I was like, give me the fucking Xanax and let me get the hell out of this office. I didn't ever think twice about it. I'm not joking. Like, I took my prescription. I went over to the pharmacy. I got my Xanax. I went home. I took my first half of a pill because I was like, I will never take a full Xanax ever because I've never had a Xanax before in my life. And I was like, I know this shit is really, really toxic. But I was like, I was freaking out. I was like, all right, I'll try this half a pill of Xanax. Took one, fell asleep immediately on the couch, and I was like, oh man, I feel okay. The next day I woke up and I'm like, looked at this little bottle of Xanax that I had over there and the first little half pill that I'd taken off there. I was like, I don't need it yet. I'm okay. I'm gonna go to work. I'm gonna try to see what happens. All day long, I stared at that. I put it in my bag all day long. As soon as I felt like whatever was going on with me, I was like, go get the bottle of Xanax, go get the bottle of Xanax, go get the bottle of Xanax. I just knew that it was there. It was comforting to know it was there, but I didn't take it. I think over the course of the next 2 years, I had that same bottle of Xanax. I think I maybe took a total of 6 half pills over the course of that entire time. But the moral of the story of what I'm trying to get at is like the best doctoring that I've ever had was what my doctor was trying to say of like, I don't want to give you this. This shit is dangerous. This isn't going to help you. What you need to help with is everything else that was going on in your life. I was miserable at work. I was miserable at my job. Like miserable. I was so unhappy. Every day that I woke up, I was like, I can't go into this fucking place. As soon as I would walk in there and sit at my desk and one of my employees would come over and they would have like 900 fucking problems. I'm getting fucking panicky just thinking about it. And I would immediately just get flush red. My heart would start pounding. I would just start sweating and I just would want to run away. This was like this for years. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. But that was what was really going on. It had nothing to do with anything other than that. I hate this place. And it wasn't my employees that I hated. I hated the environment. It was stuff that they were being subjected to, that I was being subjected to, that we were all being subjected to that was outside of our control. And I just couldn't take it anymore. So my doctor was a great doctor. He did first do no harm principle, and he smacked some sense into me. It only took me until way later to realize what he was actually saying to me,
But the sad part is that, he has this doctor duty that he must prescribe you the Xanax. Most doctors, without having the experience like he does, they probably gonna say, well, it's my duty to give you something. Then they do. And I mean, 99% of the time, it's gonna create some harm to you.
Easily become an addict.
Right?
Right.
And so that's the thing is, we need to be understanding of what people do and why they do it. And sometimes, most of the time, it's not that they're out there to get you. It's just that they want to help.
Right.
And like I said, when you're talking about like, because as like we said, anti-fragile human being is the quintessential example of what anti-fragile is. when you interfere and give your son the steroid and the antibiotic, you are blocking the anti-fragile from doing its work, because
Right.
your body is designed for that. Your body is designed to overcome. That's why you have the vaccine. The vaccine is basically a weaker dose of the actual bacterial viruses, and you
They're kind
basically
of anti-fragile
train
vaccine.
it to beat it. But
Right.
your body is anti-fragile. The
Right.
vaccine is just a decoy to say, hey, instead of David fighting the Goliath giant, you fight a mini Goliath.
Right.
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 You're still fighting Goliath. You're just fighting the child of Goliath. But then whenever Goliath comes, you fight the mini Goliath. You can say, oh, I know how to fight. I have learned. I have trained. I'm prepared. So when the actual Goliath comes, you're able to subdue him. So that's what I'm saying is, as a human being, we are that, quintessential example of what anti-fragile is. When you intervene with it, you prevent the anti-fragile from actually activate and work in
Yeah.
your favor. I mean,
Right.
it's like, if you say, well, I want to take care of my son, I want to not let him to exert any energy. I'm going to put him in a wheelchair and I'm going to push him anywhere, right? You think about it. What happened to him later on when he's like 10 years old, 20 years old? He fucking don't have any leg.
I thought about you tonight, actually, as I took Luke on a walk. I was coming around this path, this like walking path in this park next to us, and like there's only me and this other person, maybe like 100 yards away, and they're walking, and they have a little stroller as well. I'm like, oh, somebody was pushing a little baby around. That's cute. So it's just a mom and a baby walking, whatever. As we get closer and closer, she has like her headphones in. She's like bouncing around, like the lady behind is like having a great time. And as we get closer and closer, I go, oh, that's not a baby. You know what it was?
It's a puppy.
It was a fucking dog, and I was like, and it made me
Oh,
think of it made me
it's
think
like
of
it's like you put a dog in the shed.
yeah,
That's exactly what they
I was
do.
like, what the fuck? This is a dog. The dog wants to walk. The dog doesn't want to be pushed around in a stroller. I'm pushing around my babies because he can't fucking walk as fast as everybody else can. If he wants to go experience the world, I gotta push him right now until someday that he can go do it himself. But I was like, holy shit, you're pushing around your fucking dog.
He no longer becomes a dog. He becomes a vegetable.
He's not
Just
a
like
dog.
Sherman.
Yeah,
Just like
no.
Sherman. I mean, dogs, they yearn to go out there and run around, and you can't even
From day one.
keep up with them. And you put them in a stroller. This is the ultimate like harm that you can do to some
I was
animal,
dumbfounded.
human. Yeah.
We're trying to be good, but first, do no harm. Let the fucking dog be a dog. My dog's getting old, right? Like, I try not to like. She has to go down 2 flights of stairs to get to our yard from our
But you think
kitchen
about
to our
Sherman.
patio to
Sherman
whatever.
is at death's door. He can't
Right.
walk, right? He basically sits in there and he can't walk. Encourage him to walk, prolong his life. He would have
I
died
agree.
within weeks or months. But because he just like your dog, like I was saying, if you sympathize your dog, but you're doing your dog this service.
Right.
But
Yeah.
you can't think when you struggle is when you really need to activate the anti-fracture properties.
This is her only time that she goes down the stairs every day.
Like I'm fat and I can't pick up my weight. I can only walk maybe 1/5 of a mile or 1/10 of a mile, right? And then why are you walking? So do you think that if I don't walk, then I'll get better? Or do I get
No.
better if I just walk? I mean, even for 10 steps.
Right.
And I do that 10 steps every day. Just 10 steps per day. Do you think, because I'm like at the point where my bones will support my weight anymore? You think about that. Say, it's so difficult for me to walk. It hurts so much, right? I can't even walk like 10 steps. I can
Right.
walk 9 steps, right? You can't walk anymore. Well, no, not walk. Let's give him a wheelchair, give him, and what kind of, the lift or whatever you want to call it, right? Do you think that I will live longer if I don't walk? Or do I get better if I
No.
walk? So something with your dog is you feel like, yeah,
I don't want her to get old.
exactly.
I know.
Okay, the dog is old. It shouldn't walk, so I'm going to pick her up. She can't go downstairs and she's hopping and she's struggling. Let her struggle.
I
Let
agree
her
with
struggle.
you.
She's gonna
It's so
have
hard.
she's gonna prolong her life by just trying to walk down the
You know,
stairs, even though she's limping and struggling. But it prolong her life. But if you carry her, her life will be shortened.
You just reminded me that like one of the saddest conversations I've had in a long time. My great aunt Ruthie, she's in her early 90s right now. She's my grandmother's sister, my great aunt, and she's always been a part of my life, and she took care of me as a kid. A pretty tight-knit family in general. She has like 6 kids or something like that. So she has a big family. My grandmother has 8 kids total, from additional from marriage, from a second marriage after my grandfather passed away from cancer. I come from a pretty decent sized family. I don't know how many, trues you guys have, or the wins you all have, but I'm sure you have a decent sized family as well. The reason why I'm saying this is
it's so big that I don't know anyone.
Right. Exactly. I mean,
Like,
I'm sure you probably even have a bigger family than I do, but I think
kids just don't marry any wins.
Perfect. But my great aunt Ruthie, she's in her early 90s, and her husband passed away about like 5-7 years ago or something like that. She kind of at that time snapped a little bit, like she just stopped caring, and her kids, wanting to be great kids and take care of their mother, they stepped up, and one of them actually moved in with her. And for the past, I think, 5-7 years, one of her children has lived with her in her home and taken care of her and been her primary caregiver, right? The grandma diaries, like the conversations I've been having every Sunday with my grandmother, I was talking to her because while we were on the conversation, we got this text message that said Aunt Ruthie, her sister, just got taken to the hospital because she was possibly like had a kidney stone / a UTI / all this other stuff. My grandmother was talking to me as we're both getting text messages while we're both on a Zoom call. So we're both seeing them come into our phones right next to us. And I mentioned it to her, and she was like, yeah, no, I checked with Ruthie earlier. She's fine. Not a big deal. And she was like, I had church I had to go to. I had other things I had to do, yada, yada, yada. And she's like, I'll get there if it's serious. And then we got this text message while we're talking. It was like, this is a big deal. Things are not good. She's at the hospital. She's completely refusing to eat, to drink, to do anything. And my grandmother ends up talking to me about this. And she goes, we were having a conversation about purpose in a weird way. And she goes, she was like, I love my sister, but like, this isn't who I want to be. Like, I have things to do. Like, I have a purpose still. I have church groups that I have to go to. I have people that I have to lead. I have people that I need to help. I have these events that I put on, that I host. This is what I want to do. I got to get out and I got to go walk every day because I want to make sure that I keep myself healthy to be able to go to dinner with everybody. My sister gave up 5 years ago, and her son is done everything to enable her to do absolutely nothing, and with the best of intentions. And she's gotten to this point in time where she just wants to give up. To your point about the dogs and running with Sherman, it's like, if we let, like, with the apps, I am not saying that my cousin Stephen, who lives with her right now.
That's what I'm saying. Even for you and your wife, I mean, it's like you want the best for Luca.
Absolutely.
But we don't understand that because in our nature to be kind and to care, and especially the people that dear to us. But the thing is, without the rider on the elephant understanding, hey, doing good could actually be doing bad.
Doing harm,
without having that conscious understanding, you would naturally gravitate toward doing something that is not good for them because we don't understand them. We understand ourselves, but we can't understand them. So how can we help them if we are not them? So that's what I'm saying is, you need to transcend the silver rule, right?
No. It's the silver rule, because it's do not unto others what you would not want done to yourself.
Right. So that's what I'm saying is, it's human nature to be kind. Well, and most people, it's the silver rule. I love the silver
and the platinum rule.
Yeah. The silver rule is like the silver rule is what prevents me from going over there and beat you over the head with. I don't want to get beat over the head. The first silver rule is it's also like, hey, we don't want. To me, the silver rule it's what prevents us from using our weapons at will, because we don't want them to use weapon on us. We don't want to use a weapon on them. So that's why, to me, as far as like atomic bombs and all this nuclear, it's never gonna happen.
Right.
Never. The only reason why a nuclear bomb will be fired if it's, you are the only one that has it. But if the other guy has it, you will not fire.
I mean, dude,
you won't fire.
You do not want done to yourself. Nobody
and that's
wants to
the
get
thing.
blown up
That's
by
the thing. Exactly. That's what I'm saying is we don't. That's why we have this civilized world. It's because what to stop me from going out and bang somebody on the head and taking the money? Because I don't want them to do it to me.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean,
so the same thing with like among all the wars, right? You don't want to bomb the cities that people live in or whatever. It's just because it's not because you don't care about the civilians. You just don't want them to not bomb.
First,
is what governs the world.
It's do no harm. Like, it's not, because the golden rule is about action, right? Like, and do unto others that you want done to yourself. So if I mean, actually, the more that I think about that, that's a bullshit rule, because I don't want people to tell me what their values are, and I don't want them to do that to me either. Like, I mean, I'm okay if everybody understands this principle and everybody lives their values, right?
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, it's what is enforceable is a platinum rule, because if you have to think about what I like, then you have to know me first and then do that to me, right? Like, and then don't do anything to me. If you don't know me, don't do shit to me. I don't care.
It's just like you think you're helping somebody and you go out there and you help them, and it turns out that it's not what
Doing
they
harm,
want.
right?
And so you don't want them to do it to you either, because that's why I'm saying mind your own business kind of phrase that comes up. That's
Yeah.
a silver rule at work. So to me, like I say, the best thing that I took out of this book is the silver rule, right? People talk about the golden rule, people talking about the platinum rule from the book that you read. What revolves around that silver rule?
It's just do no harm. I mean, it's really what it is do no harm. Don't act. Like, like, unless this goes back to the whole reflection of, if you are going to act on the stuff that you know that you care about, that are your values, that reflect your purpose. And then I can guarantee you, you will do no harm. I promise you, because like, there's no bad things that can come from you doing things that you love to do. You don't love to do bad things. Like, nobody loves to do bad things. Like, I don't know where it flipped, where they went into a downward spiral, but even they had to block out the inner voice saying, don't do this, don't hurt somebody. Then it became easier.
And people have their, most people, like for me, it goes back to the civil rule again, because you want to, like I say, one of the reasons why we go to war isn't because this or that. It's because we want. I mean, as a soldier anyway, you want to fight in the war because you want to protect the people that you love, right? It's the need. It's a need to say, okay, I did this bad thing for this good thing. You're trading that. And so some of these serial killers or whatever, they think they do somebody else a favor. Like let's say you're talking about the terrorists, the bombs thing. They are doing it for somebody they love, their brother, their sister, or whatever. They're using their kind heart to do things, but that thing that they did happens to be bad for the bystanders. It's called collateral damage.
Right.
It's not their intention to go and bomb the city, whatever. They bomb because someone told them, they will save the family, or the family has been threatened to go do that. And the people who threaten them has similar conundrums in terms of, okay, I need to do this because of this. So that's what I'm saying, is everybody approach the activity and the effort and the action they do from that kind heart perspective, because that's not who they are. They can't go say, I'm a beaver and I want to be an eagle and I'm going to fly and I'm going to do. Say, how can I even have a single chance at even flying like an eagle when I don't have the capability and the wings and the bone structure to even take flight? You think about it, what's the chance of me successfully fly as a beaver?
Zero.
What's the chance of me
building it's not zero. It's not zero.
But I'm saying it's, you live in a world of probable, not possible, right? So I'm asking you, what's the chance? You don't have to say zero. You can say whatever numbers you want.
0.000.
My point is, what's the chance of a beaver build a dam that is, pretty fucking awesome?
I'd say 99% you can build a dam that's pretty okay.
Like I said, whatever number you give me, compare that.
Right.
So which number should be greater? Almost all the time.
I mean,
so that's what I'm saying is, if you are made to be this beaver, you have the faculty to build the dam, you have the advantage. The chance of you to complete that successfully is high compared to something else, which is anything else that you do. For example, let's say I'm a beaver, an eagle is one thing. Let's say I want to be a lion. Can I be a lion? Very low chance. Very low chance, right?
In your
mind,
mind,
So let's say, okay, forget about the lion. Let's say be a wolf. Let's say I want to be, I want to be a hedgehog, right? Can I be that? I can't. So there is one thing I'm good at, and there are a million things I'm not.
Right.
So this is where the 99% comes from. It's like, if you're not good at what you do, this is not your core value. It's not what you are designed to do. Whatever you do, it's going to be an obstacle.
Agreed. I mean, this is probably one of the most important principles, I think, of YOML, is like inaction. I mean, like, don't do how many times do I bring an idea to you?
Exactly.
How many times have I given an idea to you?
I would say like 50.
I mean, yeah. I mean, like this is what my brain thinks like this all day long, and I'm sure yours does too. But like mine, like I get really fun, creative ideas. That's what I like to do. And then I'm like, hey, I'm glad that you stopped me from doing it, because like I will do harm away from like this year of magical learning was one of those where it was like, okay, this does fully align to who I want to be. And I tested it out and we found out that it was legit. And here we are 16 months later. And I just finished the final reflection for this. And you and I are talking about our 241st, seventh generation committee meeting where we are talking about another great book and having another great conversation about all this stuff.
Right.
Totally natural. Totally natural. Like, and I have no shame and all the wake that was left and everything that I've done for this
No
particular
regrets.
project.
Exactly.
No regrets. Like, I mean, the only regrets that I have is that this is over. Like, that I know it's not over, but I mean, that this marathon is over.
Your mind, it doesn't end. To me, it doesn't end. The only way it ends is whenever some external force prevents me from doing it. Whether somebody, just if life leaves me today, that's a force that prevents me from doing what I want to do. But
Right.
that's what I'm saying is, if you do what you do, right, then you have the ability to enjoy the journey without having any kind of regret and having any kind of like, oh, I look back and the mass,
I'm like, God, like I can't believe I said that to that person or I did that to that person, hustled that hard where I completely ran over this person, like, I mean, this happens to me almost daily in the job that I'm in now, where I have like two different brains, right? One of them is my core value driven brain where I just want to go help and coach my team and club any light. And then the second side of my brain is like my corporate soldier brain where I'm like, okay, motherfuckers, you do this, you fucking do this, you fucking do this. I don't want to be that person. I was like, talk about do no harm. I don't want to do this to anybody. I don't want to have this conversation with you where I got to go, you know what? You suck at your job. Fucking fix this shit. You know what I mean? I don't want to do that. I have no other option in that world where it's like, if you don't figure this out, then we all get fired, And like, that sucks. Like, that's fucking awful. I don't want to do harm to somebody else. But then you look at your trail, your wake that you leave in behind, and people are like, man, I remember talking to Chris. He's a dick. Chris isn't a dick. Chris really cares about people and like really wants to hear their stories and wants to like help people. And they're like, well, that's not who I saw. And I'm going to go, yeah, you're right. That wasn't who I was. It's like a totally dichotomy, right? Like I have to do harm to you in order to get this because that's what the business is saying,
Right. Can't just do everything that comes your way. You have to say, you have to understand to say no to a lot of things that doesn't fit. Because if you say yes to this, you say no to the others. Because there's certain activity that align perfectly with who you are. If you say yes to something that kind of fit, then you actually say no to the rest of it. You just cannot have both. You only have a single day, right? And you can't really divide that time among all the things you do. So you have to be able to say, well, I am sure this is what I want. And the rest of everything else that comes across your desk, you do nothing. We wouldn't have time to do this. It's not possible. And so that's what I'm saying is you're going to be miserable because it kind of fit and it kind of like what we want. And I kind of enjoy it, but then it doesn't last. A sunk cost fallacy, you say, well, I haven't gone this far, might as well go the rest of the way. And then 100 years later, it's like, I regret spending that time. I mean, you go and read what Steve Jobs said on his last day on Earth. Whether it's a $300,000 car or $30,000 car, it takes you to the same place. Right? And they say, well, that's my regret. I just mean the amount of money and all the things that I amassed it didn't give me any kind of high meaning to my life.
No, I mean,
so you can't really say, well, because I've gone down this route, I thought I was doing something good for society and whatever. If it's not aligned with who you are, you're not going to enjoy the journey. And when you leave this world someday, you're going to regret the time that you didn't do do the things that far better fit your lifestyle, your kind of person,
right,
than just picking up everything. So there's going to be 1,000 things, probably a million things you have to say no to.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you can say, well, you can tell me, hey, true, that's a good idea. And I say, yeah, it's a good idea, but that's right.
Like I do this shit to you all the time. It's and I appreciate you. That's why you don't do it alone. I could be in my own little vacuum chamber and go, no. I'll convince myself that this aligns. Let's try this out. Like that's why I need you to say this, and vice versa. It goes both ways, right? I've never been more proud. No joke. I've never been more proud of any meaningful work activity that I've ever done in my entire life than this project. Like everything else that I've ever done in my life, I wasn't ever really proud of that. That was something that I had to do. It wasn't something I was proud to do. I've never been more fucking proud than that was why I was crying so much this morning. I've never done anything in this life that I've ever been more proud of than crossing that finish line of this first marathon of Your Magical Learning. It doesn't matter at this point in time, but I've never been more proud than to
If you're
cross
born
that.
to run, you're gonna run. I mean, that's
You run,
just
right?
that
Yeah.
it is what it is, right? Because
Right.
if you're born to run, you run. And so it doesn't matter if you're a beaver, you build a dam, you're gonna be really proud of the dam. The accomplishment, and it doesn't matter if people think your accomplishment isn't much. It is up to you, because if you are a beaver, whatever you do, you feel proud. And if you and I are aligned on these core values, we are going to be proud, and regardless of anyone who says anything, any kind of judgment, we don't really. We're still proud to say that. And so anyone who wants to talk to me and say, "Well, I like to do this kind of thing," it's up to you whether you like it or not. And like I said before, it is okay to be misunderstood.
I mean, no, you're totally right. I was thinking about that this morning on the run that I was on with Amelia after we finished writing our first reflection, and we were listening to the Black Swan, and he was talking about some of these concepts of with an author being a black swan and the scalability of the activities they do, and the fat head and the short tail basically is what he's talking about. The fat head. Now, later on down the road, I now have different terms to apply to all this, but when he's talking about like a black swan with like a scalability issue, he's talking about a fat head and a short tail, right? Or the long tail. Right. When I'm hearing this, he was given that scenario of that Russian author that like nobody had heard of, that refused to change anything. She was like, if you don't want to take it, then don't take it. And then someday some publisher comes along and does it for free, basically, or almost free. And, all of a sudden people see it, grows a small random following on the internet. And then that following turns into multiple $1 million of books, multiple million books sold. And, all of a sudden people are looking back going, how do we miss that? And then we're trying to put a reason around all this stuff and yada, yada, yada. And they're trying to say, well, here's why, because she was influenced by XYZ and she did it this way and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, long story short, he was like, this person doesn't exist, but the scenario exists all over the place. I don't give a fuck if anybody ever reads this. I don't give a shit if anybody ever listens to any one of these podcasts that we do. What I care about is like every single day, I've enjoyed the shit out of it.
Do you care if somebody goes and watch you play tennis?
No,
exactly.
Like I actually tell people, don't come watch me play tennis. Like, I mean, I don't care. Like, I'll be fine either way. But like,
it's like you love food. I enjoy the food because I enjoy the food.
Right. If you like tennis, then come watch me play tennis.
You love tennis. You play tennis regardless of whether there's an audience or whether there isn't an audience. As long as you get to play tennis, that's the point. You do the thing you love. That is already the reward that you're getting for yourself. And because of the reward you get yourself, it does a spiral, a compound effect up. Meaning, because you love so much, you play so many tennis. Because you play so many tennis, it's going to say, well, because I play so many tennis, I was able to learn many things. And when you learn so many things, so many days, so many years, who could beat you? You become world class, because that's what I'm saying. The question is, can you become world class? If you take somebody who is identical, one likes it and one doesn't like it, who will be better? Become world class, right? But I'm saying,
Novak Djokovic, because he won't show up because he won't be able to play.
Okay, let me ask you, how many books you've read? Just give me an estimate, a conservative estimate.
Well, I know exactly because I had to add it up because it's 286 is what was done.
Okay, 286. Most people don't even get far.
I've reread many books on this journey.
I'm saying and it's not projection. It's just like you have read that number of books.
Right.
For most people in their life, even for the fucking CEOs that you say, hey, I read a book a day, that's a fucking lie. Okay? They don't have time for it.
Right.
They don't have time for it. CEOs don't read books. They don't have time for it. They probably scheme something about what, look at the paper. If they're good at what they do, they don't have time for it. They have meetings all day long. CEOs are busy. You look at the schedule, they have meetings all day long. Your meeting is probably filled, weeks after week. It's filled, right? And so that's what I'm saying is, if you're a CEO, and because the CEO is the face of the company, for the, like I said,
I mean, this is my calendar. Yeah.
Okay. And imagine you're a CEO, because everybody wants a piece of your time.
Right.
You have no time for it. So to me, even a CEO won't have read that many books.
Unless they prioritize.
No, I'm talking about like the general populations of this CEOs. Let's say you find some CEO that is like you. They read the book because they are coaching a company.
Yes. Right.
So the
Max Yoder is a CEO that I guarantee reads a lot of books.
He can read that number of books and not be a CEO. because the CEO
Sure.
doesn't. It's not the reason why he read the books. He read the books because he wants to read the book, not because he is the CEO.
Yeah,
You get my point?
yes, 100%. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying is for most people, without doing the thing they like to do, right? It doesn't accumulate. It doesn't add up. It doesn't create that spiral effect. It doesn't create that compound effect that spiral upward, right?
Yeah,
Because that's what I'm saying is, you got to focus on the things that you know how to do and want to do and like to do.
embarrassing. Honestly, it almost is embarrassing when you do when if I'm a beaver and I made my 500th dam, or my 5,000th dam, if you go back to your friend huddle and you're talking to your beaver friend and you got the beaver sitting at the campfire with the fox and the wolf and everybody's sitting around the campfire drinking a beer and you're like, "Hey beaver, how's life going?" It's like, not bad. The family's doing good. Like,
I'm still building dams.
still building dams. How many dams do you think you built, man? And he goes, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. Like, take a guess. Well, I don't know. Let's say 2,000. Built 2,000 dams. And you're like, I guess I didn't really think about it. What's going on in your life? That's kind of how I feel almost these
you're asking
days.
me what's new.
Right.
Like you're asking me what's new.
I went to lunch with a dude I hadn't seen for, I don't know, probably 8 months to a year or something like that. And we weren't super close either. He just reached out because he just wanted to catch up and we're acquaintances. And he was like, "Hey, you want to go out to lunch sometime?" And I was like, "Sure." We used to work together a long, long time ago. And he was like a work acquaintance. And I was like, "Sure, let's go grab some lunch." So we're grabbing some lunch and he's like, I'm asking him just what's new in his life, learn about his business, the business that he started. He's a realtor now and he's, running his own real estate firm for the past 5 years. And he's talking about his employees and all the struggles he's going through. I was interested. I was like, "That's really cool. I mean, I'm really proud of you. That's great." He's like, "So what's new in your life?" And I'm like, "Nothing really." And he was like, "Nothing?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I'm, working a job, blah, blah, blah. This is what I do. Yeah, it's nothing really." And I can't remember how he accidentally opened up Pandora's box where I started talking about this shit, clubbing, but basically my beautiful question in life. Long story short, 45 minutes later, he's like, "Whoa, what do you mean you don't do anything?" Well, I don't. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm just doing what I do. I don't consider that important to anybody else other than myself. And I'm being honest about that. Nobody does this to go, "Hey, I read 286 books." Beavers on purpose and goes, I
because
built
if you have
dams,
to count, you have purpose.
Exactly. Agreed. That is a great point. I've been going back and forth over and over again going, do I post this or do I not? Because it was always my intention to be like, here's, as my final post, "You're a magical learning by the numbers. What a journey. Here's the last reflection." To your point, I don't really care if anybody knows this stuff, but at the same time, I'm really proud of it. We worked really hard. I haven't really talked about any of these things to anybody. Nobody knows what I've been doing or not doing. So I felt like maybe I should let them in a little, what do you think?
I don't care. I mean, that's what I'm saying is, I honestly don't care. For me, it's I look forward to our conversation, and that's what I do. And whether or not somebody knows it is, there's not even a single iota of preference one way or another. If you say it, right? If you don't say it, I don't really care, right? To me, I am perfectly stable in my ability to know what I want to.
Good point.
I just say, well, what you do, you should do your thing. I do my thing. If you say, "True, you're an idiot," true, it doesn't bother me a single bit because I am so sure of what I do. Any judgment that people give me, it doesn't faze me because I have this fortified shield. Like you're talking about the house and the devil doing outside and trying to get your attention, right? For me, it's my fortifications of my house is solid. And so any rocks that you throw at the house, it didn't even register onto the shield of the house, right? So that's what I'm saying is,
I don't care.
we say it, and if people say, "Hey, you're doing this or you're doing that," I don't care, right?
Yeah,
Or we don't do it, I don't care. So to me, I don't really mind whether we show the number or don't show the number. It's all about, do I feel like it? If I were to do something, I had a spur of the moment. Okay, I actually thought about it and I like it. So if I like it, I put it out. If I don't like it, I don't put it out. I don't really care what people say about whether I'm this or that. That's where I stand. So for me, like I say, having that ability, it changed who I am, and it changed me for the better because regardless of how you judge me, I feel better about myself and I feel better about my life. For me, life is good, right? You can't say, well, what I do, what you do What I'm saying is having the ability to not care. That's why I say it's actually good to be misunderstood. I'm not here to prove to anyone anything. I'm not here to set anybody straight about me.
Right.
I don't really care. I don't have the time for it. I
No,
gotta build my
you're right.
dams.
I don't.
If you, at the moment when you do the thing about the numbers and you are inclined to do it, then fucking do it. If
No, I
you
am.
don't want to do and you don't,
I just
there's
told
no
you.
such thing as should I do or should I not. Say, do I want to? It's like the marshmallow test again. Should I eat the marshmallow or should I not? It's like, do you want a
Yes.
fucking marshmallow? If
I
you
have
do, eat it.
not spoken about this for 16 months, and I've never been more proud of anything in my life. I'm happy to share this because this is a reflection of something that Amelia and I did together, and that I want other people to know. Maybe they'll ask a question about, well, what is all this about with Amelia? And I'm like, oh, I've never talked to you about my daughter. You know, some random person wants to reach out. I'll talk about it all day. That is my purpose.
Where even though I become Don Quixote, I don't have a single shame of what I say. But
I don't actually know what you mean by that. I know the book. I know it's a book. I don't know who.
So the book about
I know who
the
Donkey.
knight and he's fighting the windmill, right? He's living his own world, right?
Don't tell me. Is it worth reading?
I actually don't. But to me, I'm just using it as a
It's well, here I'll read it. But there's a book called Donkey Quixote.
No, I'm talking about Don Quixote.
I know. Hang on. It's like Don Quixote. Hang on. Don Quixote. There it is. It's Don Quixote. And there's like a book that my mother-in-law got for Luca.
Okay.
No, it's not. It's Don Quixote. Damn it. I'll find it.
But the premise of the book is that the guy who thinks he's a knight from the outside perspective, right? Everybody thinks he's a joke. But that's the thing, is everybody can think of me as Don Quixote. I don't know.
All right.
Right, but the thing is, like I said, his perspective and people's perspective are completely different, vastly different, right? And so you say, well, I can be seen as this idiot who doesn't know the reality, who is separated from the reality a long time ago, and he's in his own crazy world. Even then, I don't care. Even if I have realized that I'm Don Quixote, even after that realization, I still don't care.
Right.
Right? You think about that. That means to me is that it's good to be misunderstood because, people think differently than what Don Quixote is doing and what he thinks.
All right, it is really late now. This is probably our longest one we've ever done. So, all right, let's wrap if you're cool with it. That was a fun one. Cool. Question: are your actions for others or for yourself?
But they know. I don't care.
Yeah, right. Anyway, all right, everyone, something to think about. Thanks for joining, and I hope you enjoyed the conversation. We'll see you all on Monday.
Yeah, good night.